Berlin, August 13th, 1961. At midnight, the trucks come. East German troops and workers disembark, lining up behind the white-painted lines that separate East and West Berlin. The soldiers have orders to fire if approached. Berlin has been divided since World War II. The Communist German Democratic Republic surrounding a small enclave of the Western Federal Republic of Germany. But that division was political. People crossed the border via checkpoints to work and see family. Couples lived on either side. No more. East Germany was suffering a brain drain. Too many people, doctors, lawyers, and professors, fleeing to the West via the easy crossing. The embarrassment was becoming too much for the Soviets to handle. The soldiers string barbed wire. The workers tear up the streets. 4 days later, the first concrete slabs begin to arrive. They're building a wall. This episode is sponsored by World of Tanks. Download the game on PC at the link below and use the invite code CheckpointC to claim your $15 starter pack. 28 years later, the wall still stands. On one side, it's filled with color, graffiti, political slogans, and art. On the other, bare concrete. It's 12 feet high, 4 feet wide, and 87 miles long. It encircles the city, a political island only linked to West Germany by rail, road, and air corridors. But the wall itself is only one obstacle. Behind it sits a 110-yard death strip covered with gravel. The buildings that previously stood there cleared. Floodlights glare down on it. There is no cover. Machine gun bunkers watch over it, and it's seeded with mines, anti-vehicle moats, and patrolled with dogs. By 1989, somewhere between 140 and 192 people have died trying to cross. But 5,000 more made it, digging tunnels, ramming through in cars, even floating across in hot air balloons. The wall had become a fact of life. West Berliners considered it a good place to find parking. Pubs nearby featured nostalgic photos of West and East Berliners clinking steins over the barbed wire. And rock musicians, from Genesis to Springsteen to Bowie, hold concerts close to it so those over the wall can hear. The wall, people think, will not fall anytime soon. And some in the West even say it shouldn't. That reunification would be too expensive, that the number of East German refugees would wreck the economy. Kennedy had declared himself a Berliner, and the wall did not fall. Reagan challenged Gorbachev to tear it down, and the wall did not fall. And as the new President George H.W. Bush comes into office, he's decided to focus on Asia, deeming European problems too static. Nothing will change there. But in reality, the wall is about to come down, and the people who would destroy it are mostly unknown in the West. Groups of middle-range communist officials and leaders of Eastern Bloc nations. Some looking to sabotage the Iron Curtain, some hoping to maintain it. But in the end, the wall would fall by accident. June 1989. East Germany is in trouble. In fact, communism is in trouble in general. Nearly bankrupt from a multi-decade arms race and supporting proxy conflicts around the globe. Battered from its invasion of Afghanistan and its image tarnished by the Chernobyl disaster. The Soviet Union needs change. Its new leader, Mikhail Gorbachev, comes to power with two new ideas. A new economic and social policy called perestroika, which introduced market elements and other reforms to the socialist model. And also, glasnost, a new openness of government. He's hailed as a peacemaker all over Europe, especially after negotiating with Reagan to eliminate a whole class of nuclear weapons. He also talks about giving the governments of the Eastern Bloc countries a freer hand. No one quite believes him at first. The USSR had previously intervened to crush opposition movements in countries like Hungary, Poland, and Czechoslovakia. But the nations of the Eastern Bloc soon realize he's genuine. It starts to snowball. Poland holds its first free elections in June 1989, kicking out most of the communists and sweeping in the opposition Solidarity Party. In Hungary, the Central Committee picks a Harvard-trained economic minister, Miklos Nemeth, to be prime minister. They know he's reform-minded, but if his reforms fail, well, he'll make a pretty good scapegoat. But Nemeth secretly believes that even a reformed communist state will be on economic life support. He wants Hungary to join the West. And crucially, he wants to do it before the rest of the Eastern Bloc, so Hungary gets a few years of special treatment and development aid. To make that a reality, he has to bring down the Iron Curtain and be seen doing it. And the easiest way to do that is trigger a flood of East German refugees. He announces on television that it's become too expensive to maintain and fortify Hungary's border with Austria. International news watches as Hungarian officials switch off the electric fence. In a meeting with Gorbachev, Nemeth has telegraphed this move, asking whether the USSR would intervene. Gorbachev says no. But the flood of Eastern German escapees didn't arrive. So, Nemeth pushed it further. He announces a picnic, a pan-European picnic, where Hungary would open a gate and allow visitors from Austria to cross and join the fun. A sign of thawing tensions. A ruse for a great escape. Nemeth holds it during the tourist season, when thousands of East Germans are vacationing in Hungary. He even buses hundreds in for the event and gives them maps, just so they know where the border is. For safety, because the border is right there, and the gates are very open. And, the guards are just so busy checking Austrian passports that you might accidentally wander into Austria. But no one wants that, right? Because Austria is just so close to West Germany. Chaos. 600 Germans take off at a run, fleeing through the open gate. West German officials and Red Cross volunteers wait on the other side. Soon, Hungary, claiming to be overwhelmed by East German refugees, starts letting thousands cross the border each day. After the East German government bars the border with Hungary, the Great Escape spreads to Czechoslovakia. The West German embassy in Prague begins giving out asylum visas, allowing East Germans to cross the Czech-Austrian border and head to the west from there. By November 9th, 250,000 have fled East Germany. 30-mile traffic jams snarl the Autobahn, and mass protests calling for democracy, economic reform, and especially the right to free travel explode in Leipzig and East Berlin. But the hardline East German leader, Erich Honecker, the man who built the wall and who controls the Stasi, one of the most feared secret police forces in the world, refuses to make reforms. When Gorbachev visits Honecker in Berlin, a crowd gathers, chanting, "Gorby save us! Gorby save us!" It was the moment Honecker's subordinates have waited for. They vote him out in a coup, planning to save East Germany through reforms that will keep the state running and them in power. And the first thing on the agenda, a new travel law. November 9th, 1989, a press conference in East Berlin. Gunter Schabowski, a Communist Party boss, reads the press briefing on live TV. He doesn't realize that this speech, unrehearsed and unscripted, will do what no speech by president or pope has ever accomplished. It will bring down the wall. He reads off new dull regulations, saving the new travel law for last. East Germans will now be able to apply at border checkpoints to cross into West Berlin. They will need to obtain a visa stamp in their passport or have a special stamp affixed to their ID card. Next item. "Wait," said a journalist. "Effective when?" Around Berlin, everyone stopped, staring at the TV. Now, the press release was supposed to be dated the next day, November 10th. The idea was that people would line up in an orderly queue to get their visas. And if Schabowski had known that, and said so, maybe that's what would have happened. But instead, he just shuffled the paper, found the wording, shrugged, and said, as far as I know, immediately, without delay. East Berliners stood stunned. Then they went, dropped what they were doing, and left. Closed shops, left telephone switchboards, snatched up passports, and thronged the checkpoints. The first woman in line at Checkpoint Charlie, crossing to the former American sector, wore a coat thrown over her pink bathrobe. She still had curlers in her hair. They insisted the guards let them cross. Schabowski had said they could on TV. Immediately, without delay. Panicked, the border guards went into their lighted control booths and tried to dial party officials for confirmation. There were thousands of people outside, but Schabowski had gone home, unaware of the firestorm he'd created. Most of the party leaders were at the opera. So after a few hours, the border guard shrugged. "Okay, open up." The first people through the wall didn't walk. The surging crowd carried them. And they were met by West Germans holding flowers and champagne. A spontaneous party started. Boom boxes and pop music. East and West Germans kissed, climbed the wall, and led chants to tear it down. And they were climbing both sides now, the colorful and the blank. Hammers and chisels came out. People took turns pecking at the surface. It was wild, and it went on for days. Woodstock with sledgehammers. The Cold War ended, not with nuclear annihilation, but a street party. The celebration did more to undermine the German Democratic Republic than anything else. The images of partying refugees were hard to dismiss, and weakened East Germany to the point that reunification became inevitable. Not with a melding of states, but with East Germany absorbed into the Federal Republic. And the party continued. Within a month, Czechoslovakia's last communist leader fell to the Velvet Revolution. Bulgaria had ousted its hardline leaders and called elections, and the next year, it was Russia itself. Though not everywhere was it easy or peaceful. Street fighting rocked Romania, and the breakup of Yugoslavia would roil the Balkans for over a decade. But considering that Europe had lived 44 years, divided and fearing world war, it seemed almost unreal how quickly the barriers melted away. But though the wall's destruction meant great things for geopolitics, it meant even more to the everyday people. Families reunited, children from East Germany tasted oranges and bananas for the first time. Europeans once again had the freedom to travel and learn from each other without artificial divisions. They had torn down the wall and could now build a future. Once again, thank you to World of Tanks for sponsoring this episode. They've been rolling over virtual walls since 2010, and from the looks of this awesome tank action, they are showing no signs of stopping, literally. So if that looks up your alley, download the game for free at the link below and use the invite code CheckpointC to claim your $15 starter pack.